Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
On today's Smart 7, Starmer promises migration crime crackdown, French far-right leader sentenced to jail, and much more. It's Tuesday, 1st of April, it's April Fool's Day, and happy birthday, Asa Butterfield.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Monday saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer hosting an international summit in London, which was focused on organised immigration crime. He also wrote an article for the Daily Mail in which he declared that people are right to be angry about illegal migration and proposed treating smuggling gangs like terrorists. The government has produced figures to show that they've returned over 24,000 people who didn't have the correct papers, and they've pledged to focus on illegal workers in the so-called gig economy.
For too long, the UK has been a soft touch on this. Whilst the last government were busy with their Rwanda gimmick, they left the door wide open for illegal working, especially in short-term or zero-hours roles.
Tory Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick sounded like Starmer's claim that the Rwanda scheme would have taken 80 years to achieve the same result, stung a little when he responded.
They've completely lost control of the borders. You know, the numbers coming across in small boats have risen by 31% since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. The numbers are now escalating. It is open season for illegal migrants and the people smuggling gangs.
Donald Trump's threat to effectively place tariffs on every country in the world had some unintended consequences on Monday. Firstly, the markets fell heavily in anticipation of a trade war, and then in a reversal of years of American diplomacy, China, Japan and South Korea announced they have formed an alliance to respond to Trump's tariffs. Trump still hasn't been clear on the details, but he was also busy threatening both Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky over the slow pace of movement on his prized Ukraine peace deal. Finnish President Alexander Stubb was in London after a weekend playing golf with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and he says that sanctions on Russia are essential.
A strong sanctions mechanism is needed as an incentive for the ceasefire, which should be in place if Russia does not agree to the ceasefire or violates it.
Former US National Security Advisor John Bolton says Putin has played a clever game so far, but he's in danger of pushing his luck.
I think Putin has already received enormous concessions from Trump, conceding that the U.S. is not pushing for full restoration of Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity. What Putin has to be careful of is not pushing Trump too far, that he jeopardizes those concessions.
French far-right leader Marine Le Pen was found guilty on Monday of embezzling funds from the EU Parliament, along with several members of her party, the National Rally. The trial lasted 9 weeks, and the panel of judges sentenced Le Pen to 4 years in prison, although with 2 years suspended, and fined her €100,000. The real blow came, though, when she was banned from standing for election for 5 years, which rules her out of the 2027 French presidential election. She had been the favourite to win in recent polls, and there was outrage from far-right figures across Europe, including Hungarian leader Viktor Orban. She spoke on French TV after the verdict and said she will appeal.
Do you realise that on this fateful day, what this represents for our democracy and for our country, when millions of French people will be denied by a court judge without any possible recourse, the candidate who was until today the favourite to win the presidential elections? Surely that must shock and horrify all those who respect democracy and the rule of law.
Rescuers continued to comb through the rubble in Mandalay on Monday, although hopes are fading of finding many more survivors. The official death toll from the Myanmar earthquake has now reached over 2,000 people, with twice as many injured, while the damage to roads and hospitals has made treating survivors extremely difficult. The World Health Organization has launched an urgent appeal for support and requested help with blood transfusion supplies, anaesthetics and essential medicines. Dr. Margaret Harris from the WHO says the situation on the ground is hugely difficult.
A lot of the hospitals have been damaged in the area, so at least 22 hospitals damaged, several are so damaged that they can't be used. And there's a big risk because electricity and water supplies are disrupted. So that really heightens the risk of waterborne and foodborne disease outbreaks.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, the Premier League is back in action and Billboard celebrates women in music. Right after this.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
Welcome back. This week sees a packed schedule of Premier League action with games on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Tuesday night sees Arsenal take on Fulham, Wolves welcome West Ham and Nottingham Forest host Man United. There are 6 games on Wednesday and the man who has been a Man United striker and an interim manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, doesn't sound like he's looking forward to taking his current club Leicester to play Man City. But it seems at least he won't have to face Erling Haaland as the striker picked up an ankle injury in the weekend's FA Cup quarter-final. Ruud has nothing but respect for the Norwegian.
You know, with a guy like him, when you have that in the building, you have a guarantee for 30 goals, and he played a bad season. So can you imagine what happens when he starts to play well? He scores 60 or 70 maybe. So he's a pillar in City's current team and in their future. This weekend saw the Billboard Women in Music event take place in Los Angeles, California, celebrating some of the biggest names in music. There was an Icon Award for Erykah Badu, along with a Songwriting Award for Gracie Abrams and a Hitmaker Award for Meghan Trainor. And in a first for this kind of ceremony, Tina Knowles was presented with a Mother of the Year award, presumably for her work with both Beyoncé and Solange. The big winner was Doechii, who picked up Woman of the Year after hitting the Billboard Top 10, going platinum and getting a Grammy. She says her TikTok hit Anxiety is something she's still proud of.
I mean, I've been shocked. That song is years and years old that I made in my bedroom just goofing around, and now it's something that's huge that people connect with, which is powerful.
We haven't had a really good drama series featuring ballet dancers since Fame hit the screens way back in 1982. But there's a new Prime Video show on the way from the producers of The Gilmore Girls and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel that promises to change all that. It's called Étoile, and I'd say it'll make ballet sexy again, but that was never really the problem. The show follows a transatlantic swap between 2 ballet companies, which sees a feisty French ballerina transferred to New York with hilarious consequences. It stars Charlotte Gainsbourg alongside Luke Kirby and Simon Callow, and season 1 drops on April 24th.
This art form will survive.
This is wild.
Did you sleep on my couch last night?
I just had sex with Gail on it. Why else would you have us do it?
In the place that you sleep?
Gail lives in Queens. No thanks.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.